I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I was raised Jewish. Had some great parents. I worked to get bar mitzvah. I did get bar mitzvah. Once I got bar mitzvah, we kind of weren't very religious. We celebrated a couple of holidays, but pretty much we fasted on Yom Kippur, and but never went to temple. So that's the way we were brought up. But baseball was my life. Went to high school to play baseball. Got a scholarship to play baseball at college at St. John's University, which is a Catholic university. My first experience with, I would say, a different religion than I was brought up with. I ended up getting drafted by Texas Rangers out of my senior year, 1986, 24th round pick. The scout called me up and said, "Hey, we drafted you." He said, "I'm offering you $1,000. And I said, "Can I get more?" And he said, "No." I said, "All right, I'll sign." When I signed with the Texas Rangers, I was a low round draft pick, and I was a long shot to make it to the major leagues. My first year I was 17th pitcher on staff, and they said, you can't afford to screw up, so go out there and do your best. And I said, all right. So it took the pressure off me because I had nothing really to lose. So I worked my way through the minor league system. Every year I got called up. I got successful in my level. I got called up, and the pitching coach came up to me and said, you got called up here to get released. And I said, it's been a pattern, so I'll just give me the ball and I'll pitch. Next level, same thing. I had a great year in AAA, and I was in Colorado, and the coach called me into his hotel room and said, by the way, you're going to Oakland to pitch for the big leagues. And I was like in shock. So I ended up getting called up in June of 1991. Ended up playing the rest of the year in the big leagues, facing some big league legends, Jose Canseco, Ricky Henderson, Frank Thomas, Don Mattingly, and Wade Boggs. I ended up getting hurt in 92, and that kind of got my career at a halt playing, so I decided to go into coaching in 1994. Ended up had the opportunity to coach with the Montreal Expos, my first start. I was with them for about 5 years. Moved over to the Marlins organization, which I was with them for a total of about 13 years. But during that time, I ended up becoming the big league pitching coach in 2003 in May. And as everybody knows, that year they won the World Series. I got to be a part of that, which was a dream come true as a player or a coach to be part of the World Series, just to be there as far as just winning it. So I was with them for 2 years. After that year, they decided to demote me to the minor leagues, is where I met my wife right after that year. And it was a blessing to meet her and start a new chapter in my life. I stayed with the Marlins organization throughout that time. I ended up having a son, Braden, in 2006. And he had the opportunity to be with me during the time in baseball with the Marlins, coming to the field with Jose Fernandez, with Ichiro, with Stanton, with all these big names. He got a chance to be with them. About 2014 or 15, they decided not to renew my contract, and I went through a numerous amount of interviews. And something happened. I wasn't getting a job. It was something there was a wall being set up for me that I couldn't get a job. And I remember after my last interview, my son came up to me. I said, I guess you have to spend more time with me. And that was, very touching. And I said, you know what? That's a good idea. 2015, my wife was really into the church. She became a believer. She started her prayer group for kids. And they started praying for me for over a year. My son ended up getting baptized. And he came off, after getting baptized, he walked out to me and he looked right at me. First thing he did, came right to me and said, "Dad, you're next." When I got let go, something clicked in me that I found out my identity was different. Baseball was what I did. It was not who I was. And I realized that I was changed a little bit. And when I couldn't get a job and hanging out with my family, going to church felt a little different for me. I started listening to the sermons a little more intently, and I started taking it a little differently. It wasn't just life lessons anymore. It was really getting to me, and I was really fighting it for a long time. I didn't know what to do. I was like confused. One day we were at the church, and my wife looked at me after the church, and I said, "Let's go." And she goes, "What?" And I said, "We're going up front." I says, "It's time." And I went up front, and there was a guy there that she wanted me to talk to, and he was busy. So I went to this other gentleman that was there, and he ended up being a Messianic Jew. And he, right there and then, prayed for me, and I became a believer. When I first got saved, and it was really emotional between my wife and my son. I think my wife cried for about 2 days. Knowing God and knowing Jesus and coming to church and being with my wife and reading the Bible with my wife at night has totally changed who I am, who we are as a family, and we're now reflecting it towards my son right now,